New year of university and school has started. It's finally September. This is Strudel Talk and welcome. My podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube and Apple Podcast. If you're new here, welcome and check out my platforms to listen my previous episodes. Here is what I've learned about finding your people in a place that isn't quite home yet. Let's travel back to 2012. I left my comfort zone, my family, my friends, and my home. 18 years old Mara, stepping into a world where everything was unfamiliar. This feeling I will never forget. I can still feel it today and it's giving me a goosebumps. I'm not sure how many of you guys left your comfort zone to have a better future, but if you did, or doing it, then you know how it feels exactly. You know, when you're moving to a new country and you might think, oh, I will meet that kind of people, this kind of people, it's gonna be fun, and so on. Unfortunately, it wasn't like this for me in the beginning. So when I started my university, it was okay. I mean, I had my classmates, right? But thankfully, guys, this is the one weird thing I'm gonna say, that one thing turned out to be the great. I failed one of my classes in the university and I had to wait one more year. So within that 1 year, I learned German and I moved to Vienna for that. I would have to say that I enjoyed the life in Vienna that 1 year, and thankfully my parents were supporting me so much. And after the year, then I moved back to Krems and I started a class, the one I failed, together with the fresh students. And in that year, actually, I made more friends and yeah, it was amazing. So our university is a bit different. It's like a college, and even though it is a college, at the end of our degree we still get bachelor's degree. And one thing that hasn't changed from me, at least from my high school to this university, that we had attendance list, and some professors would call out your name to check if you're in the class, or some will hand out the list. And the professors who tried to call out my last name, they always had a problem. Oh my god, I felt so bad because they were trying their best but they still couldn't get it. And whenever it comes to my last name, I will immediately feel like, hey, yeah, I'm here. And then other students will start laughing because you see how professors are struggling. And then yeah, this was one of the things happened. And one of the cultural thing for me that was a bit shocking or new was that at the end of the classes, students would knock on their table to tell appreciation to the professors. I thought, as appreciation, we would clap, right? But then it's a bit different academic setting, so they would knock. And I think they still do this. So our year was divided in two groups. So I would say that most of the times I was spending the people from my group. And from my group, I had one girl that I was very close to. She was very cool, this independent person that I ever got to know. And in general, she was also very, very intelligent. I mean, she's still intelligent for sure. Okay, let's call her Sunny. Sunny and I would make a groups, just two of us, when some of the professors says like we need two people group. And it was very nice to work with her. It was just straightforward and do the things and we are done. So through this, I think we got closer and closer, and she also introduced me to her friends, and her close friends were actually from the other group. So I got to know actually other classmates of mine. But to be honest, I was a bit afraid of them in the beginning because they all had this resting bitch face. But once you get to know them, they're really sweet people. So whenever we were done with big tasks like exam or something, we would make like a party. But before that, we would do also pre-drinking, and it was mostly carried out at Sunny's place because she was renting an apartment with her friend. So they would have bigger apartment, more space for many people. So out of those parties, there's one party that things went very escalated. So as a poor students, we try to sneak in bottles of cheap alcohols to the club, mostly like vodka or cheap tequila, bottles, and these are just pure ethanol. So some of us managed to bring some bottles inside, and when we entered, there were free shots. And of course, we took those free shots. And then we, took our this bottles, started drinking them. Crazy. And also we were drinking beers in between, so you can imagine how much we drank on that night. And at some point I lost Sunny inside the club, and I decided to step out to see if she's around, and I found her on the ground outside of the club. First she was conscious a bit, let's say, and then she became totally unconscious. She passed out from the alcohol, and the guy next to us got freaked out and he called an ambulance. The ambulance came very fast. I also freaked out because, ambulance came and then my friend was dragged into the ambulance. I wanted to go with her to the hospital, but one of her friends suggested to go to, and he speaks German, so he went with her. And meanwhile, I was just thinking, okay, shit, is she gonna be okay? I was thinking, like, is this the pass out of, like, you need to sleep pass out, or it's really the pass out? And the next day I called her because, I was worried. As soon as she picked up her phone, she was saying, she woke up at hospital and she was confused why she woke up there. And to be honest, people were so nice to her. She even had breakfast at the hospital, and after that she left. So that was my first encounter with ambulance, probably also hers. So through the time, having an experience together and this kind of thing, we became closer and also got closer to her, to other friends. And we, four of us, would hang out once in a while. One of the times we all smoked funny cigarette, and then we decided to go to all-you-can-eat Chinese food. But wait, we had a plan. We all brought Tupperwares, and then first when we were having normal dinner, and then we would take turns to put things in our Tupperwares. Don't judge, guys, we were poor students back then and we also needed food, so that food helped us the next day. And as a student, like, you do so many weird stuff and funny and without thinking so much, because you're also very young and your judgments are a bit different. And unfortunately, before our graduation, we had our last party, and there four of us tried to sleep on a bed together. That was fucking uncomfortable. And after that, we haven't seen each other for a while. I do miss them, because the times we had at the university, it's also very different experiences, like different funny stories, and how we were connected because we are all international students. Probably all of us had the same feelings, when you move to a new country, it's all different, and then just, a bit scared about new things and how to make friends, but we managed. And after graduation, of course, everybody left wherever they wanted to continue their studies or maybe start working somewhere else. But luckily, one of my close friends from university actually stayed in Austria, especially in Vienna, and let's call her Nini. So with Nini, I met through with our common friends. When I was doing my bachelor's in Krems, I was living in a dorm. So in that dorm, I met the friends who were such a smart, intelligent, cute people, and they were both from our other group. So with Nini and these two other girls, four of us would hang out a lot. Especially we got very close after our bachelor internship, which was like 6 to 7 months. And back then Nini was together with a guy from United States and he was visiting. So we made a big trip to Vienna and then Budapest. And since she's from Vienna, during the weekend she would go back home and then we will be waiting for her to come back and hang out. And four of us would hang out in one of the dorms. So the dorm has two different buildings, and then we would just meet and sit on the couch and just chit chat. Oh, it was so nice. But then of course graduation came, and as I mentioned before, Nini stayed in Vienna. So I do meet her once or twice a year. I know it's not that many times, but we have different lifestyle now, and whenever we meet, it feels like we just met yesterday. We always update each other whatever happened from back then, and we always grab a food and we do boomerang. That's our tradition now. So boomerang as a picture, by the way. And by the way, we are two completely different people. Lifestyle is also very different. But Nini never judged my lifestyle, like never. I think she's one of these angelic people, you know. They don't judge, they can listen to you, they give you their opinion. And also our beliefs are so different, and still we are such respectful to each other. Sometimes actually I feel bad that she's listening to my crazy stories and think like, oh my god, my friend, she is going through something. So I will take a chance now and say thank you, Nini. I hope we will see each other this year again. Talking about uni friends, I moved to Vienna in 2016 to start my master's, and in my master's it was also divided by I think 2 groups sometimes, but mostly we were all in the same classroom. And the thing is that also amount of students that we had was way lower than my bachelor's, so it felt for me like a close community. Every students know everybody kind of. To be honest, when I was in introduction days, I was so shy. I was sitting all behind the class, you know, one of those students that don't talk and don't say anything, just, you know, stays behind. So when I was telling you that we had introduction days, right, and one of those introduction days we had like this all gather up of the master students, and we went to Heurigen, or gather up, let's say, and it was a restaurant next to our university. And since the drinks and bit of food was provided by our university, the students, all of us got so drunk. At some point I remember following 2 friends of mine and a classmate of ours. We were walking to one of the aisle, and I remember like, shit, I want to go to toilet. And I told them, and they were like, yeah, you just go to behind the bushes. And this was early times, you know, and I was just this shy girl sitting behind. No, the alcohol really showed who I am. Somehow we went to this girl's dorm, let's call her Martina, and at Martina's dorm we continued kind of drinking a bit, and then of course we were all so drunk and we decided to sleep in her room all together. It was 4 people, and she has single bed, and she had 1 armchair, and one of her friends borrowed us a mattress, and that was like thin, again very narrow, so 2 friends of ours couldn't sleep on it because they couldn't fit. And then one decided to sleep on the armchair, the other on the mattress, and I slept together with Martina. It was hilarious. And the next day the cleaning lady knocked her door, and we were like, okay, shit, we have to go home, come on, like, we cannot stay in her room like this, you know, like 4 of us. Thankfully I was younger, so my hangover was way better. If I did this again now, I think I will die. I need 2 days of full recovery. If I try to recollect my memories back then, I don't remember how I made friends, to be honest. I have the feelings it just happened through, you know, working on a project together, so you have to make a team of 6 people sometimes, and sometimes 2 to 3. But sometimes, you know, like when you meet the people, you feel like, okay, those will be really my type of people, and you just started to talk and then continue hanging out outside. And through the time of doing my master's, I met 3 really nice people in my class. We are 4 people group, so me including 3 others, 2 boys and 2 girls. One common thing in our friendship is that we are all really chill people, and also humor wise it's very similar. And 2 friends of mine are Austrians but 2nd generation born, and one of them is also Austrian but he moved to Austria when he was very small. So let's call one of my friends Tina. One day Tina invited us to her place, and we didn't expect, you know, like we would get food or something, but she made amazing vegetable strudel, and gosh, it was the best one. I asked her immediately for the recipe, and still I cannot reproduce the same tasting of this vegetable strudel. And when it comes to exams, oh my god, Tina, she's very intelligent person. You know, those people like when they read something once and they remember everything. To be honest, I don't know how they do that, because for me, like, I take months to learn something because I think I just need that. During my master's, so we have like lab classes. It's like mandatory to do that, so we get some experience working in a lab. And for that, we had to make 2-people groups. So I would group up with Tina. We would be done with our experiments super quick. Everything was correct, because she can guide, and she was this person that also motivates you during your studies. She says like, yeah, Mara, come on, you can do it. Also, she did that to my other friends, so she was like this one of the backbones, I would say, like supports us through our also studies. And yeah, we got also very good grades on protocols or after the reports when we were done with our lab experiments. But then the other friend of ours, sometimes he took so long to pipette. We would do experiments next to each other on the bench, and when we were about to be done with our experiments and I see or look at them, and I was like, nah, they're still pipetting, and I felt so bad for his lab partner, which is other friend of mine. But through the thickness and thin, we still managed to finish our studies. The end of our semester, or the last semester, was the time where we had to do internship to defend our master's degree. For that, I stayed in Vienna and some friends went away. So for time, we kinda lost in touch, because like we can do 1 year of internship or 6 months or 1.5 years, depending on as long as we can do the internship. For instance, for me it was 1.5 years, because like for a year I really did the practical part, but I think my writing of the thesis took longer, and also I had to schedule my exam and this kind of thing. But after, when we were done with our studies, we reconnected again. We would meet up once a year and have dinner or some drinks, and then we would talk about and update our life to each other. For instance, when I saw last time Tina, she was pregnant, and the other friend I run into accidentally at IMS, where it's like we were taking a German class, and the other one is doing also a podcast where I actually got inspired, and let's call him Noah. So Noah used to work at one of the startup companies in Vienna, and then one day one of my friends says like, hey, by the way, I am friends with your friend. And I was like, which friend? What friend are you talking about? And then she said, Noah, you guys are friends, right? I was like, yes, but how? And then she explained me that actually they work in the same company, and then they just clicked, because also like they're both very chill people. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And sometimes 3 of us used to get a lunch at my old workplace, because the startup company is also around that. And this is so crazy, because this friend of mine who mentioned that she met Noah, right? She used to be my supervisor when I was doing my master's thesis internship. And after my whole time at that workplace, we stayed or remained friends. And I would never imagine that actually they would become friends, and then we 3 of us would meet up. Yeah, and soon I want to invite them over to my place, because I never did it since I moved in. And I really want to apologize for that. On the day that I invited actually back then, I had a stupid accident, but that will be in different episode. So to my listeners, how was it for you when you were doing university? Was it hard or easy to find friends? Did you have like language barriers, so that was keeping you away? Or was it the cultural differences, so it was hard for you to adapt? And when I was just recording this episode, I don't know if Vienna is small or our field in Vienna is small. Sometimes you meet someone and the person knows someone, this kind of situation, and I'm becoming very familiar with it. Sometimes I think that, of course, life changes, right? My lifestyle has been changed for sure since my bachelor's or master's time. My personality got changed. Also, through the time, having a different experiences, finding my own people, it's also different. We need people to be able to live, right? We are very social animals, and I think it's nice to just, have a good blood with people. So this has reminded me again, Vienna is very small and you never know what will happen. So be good with people and friendly and keep them also in your life, because things can turn out to be way different than expected. And with this, I am almost coming end of my episode. And before that, I wanna give you the weekly song suggestion. Recently, I was listening to the playlist from 2024. I don't know why I had this very nostalgic moment, and from that list, one song really hits me different. It is Rap Snitches by MF Doom and Mr. Fantastic. This song was introduced by one of my previous dates, and I don't know why. I think I'm associating with that time. Anyway, give it a try and let me know if you like the song. And with this, I'm coming to the end of my episode. Thank you for patiently listening to my podcast. If you don't want to miss out new episodes, click subscribe and follow me. I also have now Instagram account called Strudel Talk, so there you can also follow me and see what I'm doing and posting, so you will be always up to date. Until the next episode, bye!